Up in the morning with the rising sun.
Up in the morning with the rising sun.
Gonna run all day till the running's done.
Gonna run all day till the running's done.
I ate my breakfast way too soon.
I ate my breakfast way too soon.
I'll be hungry before noon.
I'll be hungry before noon.
So I crawled to the galley on my knees.
I crawled to the galley on my knees.
Singing CS1, CS1, feed me, please.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to Roger That Chronicles, where veterans serving veterans and active duty personnel by talking about matters of interest to veterans. I'm Rick Prescott.
And I'm Mike Ruffner, a Marine veteran. And last time we talked about veterans starting businesses.
I am Jason Hertha. I'm a Marine combat veteran. And you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Apple, and Spotify. And for YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification for future videos. And find us on 216 The Net.
Awesome. We talked about all sorts of resources, veterans issues regarding starting businesses and so on. And today we have a guest speaker, and I'd like to introduce, if at all possible, Phil Sweeney. How you doing, Phil?
Thank you, Rick. I feel strong-armed that I was brought in here by 3 Marines. I'm a Navy corpsman. So for those that you don't know, Navy corpsman can sometimes fill in with the Marines as their medic in the infantry or other places on Marine Corps bases. But I was the lucky guy that was in the infantry with the Marines.
Silver bullet specialist, right?
Yes, if you want to go into details on some of the things I've done in the service.
I'm glad I never passed out during a hike or anything.
I can make your grandmother blush. And I know her.
She passed away. Come on now.
So after the service, I took advantage of the GI Bill for college education. I went to the junior college, then I went to Western Illinois University, and I moved out of the medical field, and I moved into the business field and got a bachelor's degree in finance and been in the mortgage banking world since 1984. This is going to be about 40 years for me this year, so I'm planning on retiring in July. Oh. And I got all this knowledge on VA home loans that I think they're going to ask me the questions later, or a part of the other benefits that people don't use as often as they should.
Right. You just recently got an award from the Chamber of Commerce here in McHenry, Illinois, right?
Yeah, I won the 50-50 raffle and won about.
What was the prize, if you don't mind us asking? Half of the whatever.
So the Chamber of Commerce, actually, it's not really the Chamber, it's people that are affiliated with the Chamber, do have this award called the Frank E. Lau Award that they give to the person that they thought had a lifetime contribution to the McHenry area and inspired people and actually did fun stuff and things that are a little extraordinary around here. So I've been having a lot of fun doing it.
One of the things that's fascinating about you, Phil, is the fact that even though you're in the banking industry and so on, but you also have always gone on well and above and beyond in serving the community, continuing to serve the community, continuing to serve veterans, and you're part of a veterans group as well. And as a matter of fact, a few of them in the area where you provide constant ongoing help to the veterans and so on. So that's admirable.
So all these things that I do have kind of an interesting backstory. So the backstory on how I got involved with the Marine Corps League, Colonel Ames grew up around here. Kurt Ames is a civilian name. He opened up the Chain of Lakes Brewery in McHenry, and there was a bunch of us that were in the military that started showing up there, and over beers, I got suggested, hey, maybe you should join the Marine Corps League. So that's how I got in the Marine Corps League. I was asked to join. About 14 years
told, right?
Yes, it was kind of like that. I didn't know what I was doing. I was drinking his very high alcoholic content beer. I only had 3.
It's a social lubricant,
Then one of the things on the award I got acknowledged for was helping start the St. Pat's Parade, which now is taken over by the city, and it's the Shamrocks, the Fox event. It's one of the bigger things in McHenry, but I call it the ripple effect. I started it the first year, and it just grew and it grew, and it got bigger than I could handle, and it's really done nice. But the reason that started was just another one of those things that wasn't supposed to plan that way. I was in my car driving about 2008-ish. Okay, the Southside Irish were talking about canceling their parade because there was too much shenanigans and hooliganism. And I immediately thought, what would it take to do a parade in McHenry?
We needed a little bit of that.
So I asked about, what do you do? And they go, you just need a parade permit. And hence we got a parade. So.
Wow.
So tell them about the year that nobody would come out there because of COVID, and there was, I believe, just two of you that did the parade.
Yeah. So the first year, I said if I was ever going to be the parade marshal, it's this, because I get to name the parade marshal. So I was parade marshal the first year, and then one year it rained, and Billy Cheatham, another Navy guy, decides he's carrying the American flag, and I'm there with a green raincoat on because it rained, and he goes, "I'm not going to let the parade die." And I go, "I'm not either." So we did the parade ourselves that year. Then during COVID, they canceled the parade twice, and I carried on to do the parade. One of the years I had a bunch of leprechauns following me. It was kind of neat. So,
Did you find the gold?
So the parade has never been not done. It's been canceled a few times, but it's never been not done.
Mm-hmm.
Rick mentioned earlier that he turned around and said you were running around in a skirt Saturday.
Oh boy, I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Don't you hit me.
Do you know,
There's fight.
there's three. Get you guys on listen to this podcast. The setting here is there's our audio-visual guy who's staying out of this. There's three Marines, and only one of them's in shape.
And that's Rick Prescott.
And the littlest guy wants to bulldog me, right? So yeah, I was walking around in a kilt in I don't know, what was it, 9-degree wind chill.
Oh,
So
that's
if you're walking down Green Street and see my anatomy, please return it. I throw something off.
If you ever get a chance to see the Irish Rovers song, Donald, where's your trousers? It's about men wearing the kilts.
Sure.
They called them the skirts from hell. And that goes to the Scottish warriors way back when.
Oh, that's funny.
And that's where the kilts pretty much come from.
It was the cloth that you enlisted in the Scottish Army, and they gave you this big piece of cloth to use as your blanket, your whatever you needed, but you also had a way to arrange it to turn it into a kilt.
Right.
So that's how that started. And so everyone was asking me at the parade, it was in a kilt, and I'm surprised how many women were asking me this. They go,
Oh,
what do you got underneath there? So I had to explain to them that nowadays they call it going commando, but back in the day they call it going regimental.
oh, nice.
So
How many inspections did you get?
because this is a recorded podcast and information on this can be used against me later.
Sure.
I forgot your question.
Here's incriminating
I don't
evidence,
remember.
Doc. Yeah. So I got a question for you, Doc, since you were into the VA home loans. For a first-time buyer or someone that is interested, who is a veteran and has no clue on what they're doing, what advice or what exactly do you do to guide them through that process?
Well, that's how long do we have for this podcast?
5 hours.
So
Sure.
As long as you need.
so the
Or
first
just to keep it in a simple nutshell.
the first thing is just talking to each other.
Okay.
You know, I want to know a little bit what you want to do. What are your plans on doing it? Is the VA home loan the best plan for you in the first place?
Right.
Are you eligible for the VA home loan?
Right.
What's your credit look like, buddy?
Sure.
Yeah, that's usually what it's the one. Or how's your job?
Mine's
history?
halfway decent with my credit that I got it up a little bit. So
Right. And there's tools that lenders have if they're aware of what your credit looks like to help boost your credit score.
Right.
So it's
455 is a good engine, not credit score.
sure.
so one of the forms you need that's really the controlling form is a DD 214.
Mhm.
And with that, that's your discharge paper from the service. With that, you could get a certificate of eligibility, but you could probably get the certificate of eligibility without having a DD-14 because you could go on MyGov or whatever the VA website is.
Right. Yeah.
VA Gov, and you could order up your own forms if you know certain information about
Right.
yourself.
Mhm.
If you probably already have your password, if you're a veteran that uses the VA
Right.
network, or their portal, as they call it.
Mhm.
So you can order up your own certificate of eligibility. One of the other things us as lenders want to talk about is know before you owe. It's a huge term that we use on a lot of our disclosures. It really means, what are you getting yourself into?
Right.
Because if you don't pay,
Right.
things don't, it wouldn't be a good day. I mean,
Right.
you could get by with about 6 months of limping on, but after that, you're going to get kicked out of that house and probably have other legal problems.
Yeah, people
Have you
want their
actually run
money.
into situations like that?
Yeah, it's
I mean-
called foreclosures. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
2008.
with
Remember that?
veterans, though. I mean, I get the impression that most veterans are pretty responsible people, but I'm just wondering if you ever run into that kind of a situation
Maybe.
regarding veterans.
Let's say that veterans have a lot of pride, and when they have problems, they don't share them as much as everybody else.
Right.
They internalize a lot of their problems, which of course makes it bigger problems. So you need to talk to somebody. So there's consumer credit counseling services.
Mhm.
That's in Woodstock. Anybody could call them. It's a free service offered by the government. You could go online and get your own free credit report, so you could plan it on yourself.
Right.
Annualcreditreport.com. So it's www.annualcreditreport.com. Go in, it's free.
Right.
Don't get tricked. They got some of these tricks on there that you might want to sign up for, like Credit Watch or something. They'll charge you a fee. But if you just use the basics, it's free, and the government gives it to you annually, so you could check up on your own credit report
Awesome.
and dispute things if they're not on there.
Right. Now I use for kicks or whatever, Credit Karma, and I see my score, going up, which is a good thing, but I know that they're a little off sometimes.
So if you think of all the places that offer credit,
Right.
like credit unions and credit card companies and
Yeah.
car dealerships and Credit Karma, and if you compare that to computer programs like Windows 1.0 and then 2.0 and then
Right.
3.0, so everybody has their own model for the credit score they want to get. So that's based on the software. The lenders say, we want to program it. We want to look. I don't know if this is how the model works, but if I were modeling, I would say, how do they pay their installment debts first?
Mhm.
And how do they pay their credit report or their credit cards second? And how many judgments or collections, or how long have they had credit? It all goes into their formula.
Right.
But the mortgage people use a different formula than the car people that use a different formula
Right.
than Credit Karma. So I get that all the time. Hey, my credit score is 800, but is it on a basis of 100 or 1,000 points or 800 points?
Right.
So it's different languages and credit report
Gotcha.
on credit scores.
It seems to me that more banks and credit unions are actually providing a credit score.
My Discover card statement has a score on it all the time. It's different than my mortgage FICO score, but they list them. It's a good barometer of what's going on.
That's something to watch. Like I have Navy Federal, so I can go and check in there, and this thing kind of gauge where it's at. Not that I have any problem, but for those who might be struggling with their finances, something to kind of help watch that they can get it moving in the right direction.
Right. And some of the programs the lenders have, you might say, oh, I want a VA home loan. Well, the lender you're talking to might have the VA home loan. And when you buy a house, you're probably going to have about, on the buyer side, about $5,000 worth of closing costs. And we have these down payment and closing cost assistance programs for people that meet certain criteria based on geography, based on income levels. Low to moderate income people have it. A pretty good loan program. They can actually make less money. You get better deals sometimes. It seems odd.
What about for
First-time home buyers?
Well, that too, but the assistance program you're talking about. What about for different levels of disability the person may have? Does that matter at all, or?
It does, and there's different types of disability. If you have like a mental disability and you want to buy a house, an attorney might have to sign off on that, or your caretaker.
Okay.
And that's an option that some people might have to have, because all they might have is their disability income, and that's about it. And the VA looks at how much income you have left over at the end of the month. They don't necessarily do 28% of your income or 30% of your income for your housing payment. They have a very easier, more liberal thing to do. If you have a VA-related disability and you're doing a VA home loan, they waive some of the fees.
Really?
If you have in Illinois, if you're a primary homeowner, they have some advantages where they waive off certain parts of your real estate taxes depending on the amount of disability you have.
Right.
So, although it's too bad you got a VA disability and you get a check on it, but the state also helps you out too. So.
Right. Now I know too with property tax, there's a couple different states, but I know Illinois is the lowest, where you have to be at least 7% disabled
70%,
and property tax exemption.
70% VA,
Right, VA,
related
right.
disabled, not like
Right.
Social Security disabled.
No,
VA
VA
related
disabled.
Right. And then if it's like the $750,000 value of your house, if it's over that, you got to pay the tax on the remainder part of it.
Right,
But if it's
right.
under that, so there's really good housing opopportunities in Illinois for.
But
So
that
we're going to have
very much
Illinois is
state.
going to be full of 70%, 70 to 99% disabled veterans because they get the waiver of the real estate tax. Other states, it's 100%.
Right. Yeah, I know Texas and Florida is 100% for VA disability. So
So what are the advantages of getting into a VA loan for purchasing a residence, and how difficult is it? I understand it's pretty bureaucratic, a lot of paperwork.
Home loans in general has a lot of paperwork.
Okay.
We
I'll buy
have
that.
every lender has federal agencies that are, after we get done with our loan, someone else looks at it to make sure all the paperwork's right. And then someone else looks at it to make sure some paperwork is right. And if we messed up our paperwork along the way and Jason decides not to pay his mortgage, he could go, well, you messed up the paperwork. That's why you're not getting paid.
sure.
So we have many layers of paperwork that we have to do. Whether it's an FHA loan, that's a loan insured by the Federal Housing Administration, whether it's a conventional loan, we call them Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, is a secondary market. They buy the loans up in the secondary market later from the lenders. I could go on for an hour on that, but it's just, we have all kinds of rules. So we have all kinds of paperwork.
Okay.
But a lot of paperwork we're looking for is, you have a W-2 form, you have a pay stub, I need a couple months of bank statements.
Right.
Okay, you went to, and shopping for a car last week, I got 20 inquiries from car dealerships.
Hard inquiries.
Did you get a loan from each of them? Can you explain this? Yeah. So it's just a lot of stuff. It takes you around 30 to 45 days really to get it done without it being stressed out. We can do it in 30 days. You're going to feel rushed.
Right.
Home buying process is a process, and you want to get it done right the first time. You get in with the wrong people and you're going to say, this was the worst thing I ever had in my life.
Right.
Besides Marine Corps boot camp.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible.
and the first week of Marine Corps chow.
That's rough.
So when you're looking for a home, how soon should they start the VA, or should they just get certified?
Okay, so when you're out looking for a house and you're looking for a lender, most of the real estate agents around here know which lenders do offer VA home loans. You can look it up on the intranet; it's probably on there. But not every lender offers VA home loans. I don't know who would or wouldn't. You just have to ask each lender if they do them or why they do them. Some have different prices for them. The prices are not set by the government. The lenders set their own interest rates. So you could shop around for the interest rate and the closing cost.
Well, if I might, I've got first off, we have a hello gentleman from looks like Jen Cressy. Krejci. Hi, Jen. Welcome. And also Kent Jones says, are all lenders VA certified, or do we need to chat with a veteran? It's a question to you.
Well, it's the question I just answered because I saw it on the chat board. So,
well, there you go. So it shows you what I.
Well, that's one. Well, actually,
Sorry, we love you anyway.
that happens all the time.
That.
When I have a customer in front of me, I know they're not catching on to 100% I'm saying. They might get 50%. And us lenders talk in acronyms all the time. PMI, LMI, HMLIC.
BINGO.
Bingo.
What?
But when I start talking to the customers, I have to remember what level of speaking I'm in, because these are first-time home buyers. And
Right.
you know, I'm old enough to be their dad or grandpa, maybe, who knows? But I have to realize who my audience is. So a brand new out of the service person is going to be different than someone that's been out for 30 years when we're talking about home loans.
So yeah, so for example, let's say you get PFC Smokatelli coming out.
I did his loan 2 years ago. Yeah, we refinanced them too. VA home loans are real easy to refinance.
Well, if he came out as a PFC, there's a problem. But anyway, so how would you help them? You know, someone who is like completely brand spanking new out of military.
It would mostly likely be a conversation on what they want to do.
Sure.
Are they going to buy the house by themselves or with somebody?
Right.
Are they getting down payment from somebody? You know, if you're brand new and you're just got out of the service and you don't have your first job yet,
Mhm.
I don't know what you're going to do. Your
Gotcha.
parents' basement, trailer, I don't know, tiny home somewhere. But when you first get out and you're not established, that's really tough until you really, personally speaking, when I got out of the service after college, it took me about 2 years to settle down before I thought I was financially responsible.
Oh yeah, no, it took me about 10 years to become financially responsible. So,
Well, the VA.
Okay, I
loan-
lied. Okay. but for the podcast, it's 2 years.
sure.
To get a VA loan, you just mentioned that there's a process there and everything else.
Yep.
What are the advantages? I mean, and also, I guess a secondary question is it limited to simply a residence, a home, or can you get a VA loan to partake in investing in a business or anything like that?
Well, VA home loans, you cannot do
Only one
it
up.
for a personal business. There's small business loans. The Veterans Administration offers them, but I do not offer any kind of commercial type VA home loan. VA loans are good for townhouses, condominiums, single family houses, and also multiple family houses like a 4-flat, 3-flat, 2-flat, duplex. But they won't go over 4-unit buildings. You could have mixed commercial, like a 4-story apartment type building, 3 units with a barbershop on the first floor or something.
Sure.
They do this based on how much square footage you have is for residential versus the business part, and you could collect rent from the other ones. So, you know, I always thought, hey, why don't I just get a 4-flat and rent out the other 3, live in one, and someone will make all my mortgage payments for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
How did that work out?
You can't find many 4-flats around here. And-
Where's the dress?
Well, here's the other part. I don't know who would want me as their landlord.
Showing up the door in a kilt all the time.
Where's the rent? Where's the rent?
We do have a question on the board there. It says, if I'm a veteran and own my own business, can I still use the VA for a home ownership?
Sure you can, as long as you qualify. Yeah, separate deal, separate loans. I mean, this is all about housing.
What are the advantages?
First advantage, no money down. So, I mean, you're going to qualify with a full payment on your sales price, but no money down. Easier to qualify. Can get a gift for down payment. Can have spotty job history as long as it makes sense. And have sub credit blemishes as long as you can reasonably explain them.
All right.
Blemishes, not train wreck, but blemishes.
Sure.
What's a credit blemish? Maybe a bankruptcy 3 years ago. You could get by with that on
Okay.
the VA, or a foreclosure, or just some of those things that happens in life once in a while.
Right.
But VA is the most forgiving loan program without hitting you up on very high interest rates because of your credit blemish.
Right. Let's say with blemishes and train wrecks and all that stuff. So someone who, let's say, got out of the military and they're using the post 9/11 GI Bill.
Yes.
And they had poor academic or poor advising on the business aspect, so they ended up taking out a loan and all that stuff. Would that kill your chances on getting a loan from the VA?
Depends how long ago it was, and
Okay.
did you enter a satisfactory repayment agreement with that person?
Gotcha.
If you're in a satisfactory repayment agreement, which really that word is open for interpretation, what is satisfactory? But if you can prove that up,
Right.
then they could probably look past it.
So
So
if
your credit score is there. That's the one that's messing you up.
So if you're still making payments or whatever, but still in the satisfactory part, then you
Yeah, we
should
just
be-
count the payment against you just like any other debt, like a car payment or a
Gotcha.
credit card bill.
Okay. Yeah, because one of the information things that I found out with the VA and getting a certain percentage, that if, let's say, you take out a student loan and then you got to pay that back, but then something happens where you're trying to make ends meet and all that good stuff. If you're at 100% VA, I believe it's one of the loan, Fed loan or something like that. If you're at 100%, like legitimately for good reasons and all that stuff, they can wipe away or expunge your loan that you have for schooling. So
whenever someone gets these special treatments from their person they owe money to,
right,
we're going to need all that in writing. You're going to have to create a paper trail for that.
Gotcha.
Because when you try to explain it to me, I have to explain it to somebody else. And we have to document the heck out of it. So just remember, as you try to fix something with your creditor, ask them for that arrangement in writing.
So that's that multi-layer thing you were talking about earlier.
Oh, it goes on. There's so many variables. Let's say someone's buying in a condominium and it's not on the VA approved list. Now you got to make sure that there's an owner occupancy level that's correct for them. And is their insurance correct? And is their budget enough? So that takes time if you're buying a condominium. But it can happen if you get the right amount of time and the right paperwork, and no one's in that big hurry, because if a condominium approval means I got to get the paperwork, my loan processor got to get it, the condo approval department's got to get it. Sometimes the Veterans Administration then has to get it, and then it all has to come back to us. So it takes a little time. Thankfully, we could forward it as a PDF instead of sending it through the fax machine.
Right.
But
Well,
it still takes a while.
It looks like it's a big deal, especially Northeastern Illinois, is that all these homeowners associations, do they come into play when you're doing your paperwork for a VA home loan?
Yeah. So let's say that you're in a neighborhood and you got to pay $120 a year because they got a little retention pond and a sign in front. Or maybe you might have a lake with water access that's like a mile from your house or something, but you still got to pay a neighborhood association fee for that. We have to make sure you pay that on time. There's a local one around here. It's the Wonder Lake Property Association. I had someone that didn't pay a seller of a property didn't pay that fee for 10 years. And they were selling the house and they had to pay all that 10 years worth of stuff in order to complete the transaction. So so we check out associations like that. The title report had the little blemish on it saying, hey, there's a lien against your property for these unpaid fees. Pay the fees.
All right.
Well, that's what you do. What I'm thinking about is like, okay, you got this loan, no money down. I move into my house. What impact does that have on the equity? Like when I purchased my home, that was my biggest issue is equity. I want equity now. So that's why I paid a substantial amount down on it when I purchased it. And I'm wondering what kind of an impact, or is it temporary? Is it long-term?
If you bought a house 2 years ago with no money down and the property values have been going up right now, you have equity. You won. Let's say you bought a $200,000 house and that house is worth $250,000 down right now, a year later. If you can find a $250,000 house for sale. But if you did, your house went up by $50,000 in that 1 year, and you invested zero into that investment, and you are $50,000 ahead. That's a good idea. No money down. If you put $50,000 down, you would still have the $50,000 equity. The difference between what you bought it for and what it's worth today, but you also had equity from your cash infusion into buying.
So as long as they're a rising market, then you get equity. You'll gain equity that way.
Right. It always works until things turn around.
Right.
So if you bought a house with no money down and then the market value went down, this happened in 2008. If the market value went down, then you owe more than it's worth. So if you sell it, you're gonna have a problem. Short sales, or you just dump the house because you have nothing left in it, and those are foreclosures. So it's really hard to time the market. If it's the best investment time to go no money down or with equity, it only matters when you go to sell the house the next time. Between now and then, it doesn't matter.
I got a question up here. It says, do I have to be a veteran to utilize the VA, or can I use it while I'm on active duty for active duty personnel?
That's a good question. Are they active duty for 1 month? Active duty because they've done 3 tours already? It makes a difference, because did they get their DD-214 yet? Did they meet some timeline within the calendar? Certain time periods, it was like 180 days active duty, 90 days in a war zone. Were you a reservist? Now you're active duty? Or it makes a difference, and every circumstance is different. So it's best to call the lender and tell them what you got so we can figure it out. I can't answer your question completely because there's too many right.
Well,
right.
But if you're on active duty, you can buy a house. If you qualify, you can buy a house and you can rent that out. But say that when I get out, I'm going to live there. I'm going to live in that house when I get out, and you could buy it. So it's kind of a nice way to acquire a rental property where you're active duty. But absentee homeownership as a landlord is really a tough thing to do because you don't know what the tenants are going to do, and you better have some trust and friends nearby because you can set yourself up for failure there too.
Well, people can go to va.gov to look up the basic rules for the VA home loan program, so they have a general idea of what to expect.
Right. You could call the Veterans Administration themselves. They got a housing hotline. You could call your local VSO or VAC, Veterans Assistance Commissions. They all have a little bit of knowledge to push you in the right direction. They cannot refer you direct because I asked them to, and they tell me we cannot refer you. But
well, they can give you general information. They just can't refer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
And when they use a VA home loan, they're required to live in the house. It's not one of these they buy it someplace else.
Right. You can't buy it as an investment property, but you're supposed to live in it for a reasonable period of time. And let's say my house, I got a VA home loan on it, and I want to retire to Florida, which I'm not, but it could happen. But if I want to move out of that house and keep the VA loan on it and rent it, that's okay. But my initial period of time in the house my intention was to live there as my primary residence for a reasonable period of time.
What about reusing a VA home loan?
They call that reestablishing your entitlement or entitlement restoration. So you could redo it. You could redo it over and over and over again. If you're a disabled vet, you get no VA funding fee, it's a substantial amount of your loan. There's a fee for using your VA. It's like 2.15% of the loan amount. So it's financed, of course. The second time you use it, that goes up to 3%. Check the charts to be accurate. I'm just telling you this is what I think it is. So the VA funding fee goes higher unless you're a disabled vet, then it's zero again. So most people, when they use VA, they're really trying to go with no money down or low money down. That's the best part of it. If you're using it the second or third time, unless you have no equity, then if you have a 20% down payment conventional loan, it's probably a little bit better than VA. Just saying, unless there's some other circumstances involved for qualifications.
Does the VA want you to kind of basically clean the first loan before you use it again?
Okay, so if you have a home loan out there and now you move and you kept your house as a rental, and that's example, and you want to buy your next place, they call it partial entitlement. So you could do that, but you better talk to a lender to find out how much of a down payment you're going to have or no down payment availability still. But it's an option. I'm just not going to give you my opinion on a specific rule on that, but it's an option. And every case is different, so call.
So you can reuse over and over again the VA home loan.
Oh, yeah. I've refinanced my home 4 times. Yeah. A couple times using VA.
But I was told, over a beer, that if you sell your house, there's going to be some complications because VA has certain rules, and I'm going to buy another home and selling this one here, it has to be kept up. There's certain types of rules and regs that can make things complicated.
Well, a lot of that has changed because of some equal rights or some of these the federal government making things easier. Before people could write in their contracts they don't want you to sell a house to, whatever they want it, whatever person, whatever reason, whatever thing. Most of those now are discriminatory. So they take a lot of that language out. So you could mostly sell your house to anybody that qualifies. If you buy a VA home loan, there's going to be some things that the lender is going to be wanting. In Illinois, if you bought, you need a termite inspection, which now could be paid by the buyer or the seller. It used to be paid by the seller only. Termite inspection, because we have termites here. So they want to ensure that if you're on a well and a septic, they're going to want a well report and a septic report. They want to make sure that all those parts of the house that are working are functionable. And their appraiser is going to come out to the house to give me a written report on the collateral. The collateral to me is I can't bring that in the bank and show the vice president of the bank, hey, I got a house here in the lobby. No, we got to get in a written report because I'm going to probably have someone else look at this property in the secondary market, and they're going to want to see what is the collateral for this loan. The appraiser is going to make sure the house is safe, sound, and habitable. Safe means, are there handrails on your stairs? is the furnace leaking carbon monoxide or something? There's based on the venting systems. They're going to look to see is there roof leaks. They're going to see if there's wood to ground contact. So VA has a little bit more of a checklist than all the other lenders programs, but it's meant to make it safe for the veteran to buy that house.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
I forgot what we're talking about. Just TBI.
Wow.
Why is there whiskey on the table?
Oh, well,
Because you're talking about lending.
there's yes.
Because no one cleaned up from the St. Patty's party. That's what it is.
There's whiskey on the table because it's St. Pat's, and you marched in the parade the other day. So did I.
Yes.
In McHenry.
Yes.
And it was like 19 degrees outside, but the wind chill factor was like -9, and so all I know it was cold.
It was cold.
You were wearing that cup.
That's right.
He's gonna hit me.
That's right. And
He's wearing a. I don't know how you did that. I looked at your legs when you were walking.
Why are you looking at his legs?
Stuff. No, it was funny.
That wasn't his leg. Tripod.
I don't know if it was cold or not.
I froze those off.
I don't know if it was cold or not, but it looked like you shaved your legs. Did you shave your legs for that?
So what? I have hairy thighs. Okay?
Yeah. God love them.
or winter growth or something like that.
Well, the whiskey will make you feel like you're warm. So
Let me tell you, it was cold. It was chilly. But if you were at the one from 2022, it was just as cold. It just wasn't as windy. Oh, and Rick's grabbing the whiskey.
oh, here we go.
Yeah.
You can tell who the retired guys are.
Well, we ought to. Oh, you're working today, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
He's gonna go back to work.
Sucks to be you.
Come see me at the bank after this.
So we have a good old Irish whiskey here, Jameson's, and so we ought to have at least a little shot. I would think. Would you say?
Sure.
I know you don't-
I don't drink, but
you
I'll
don't partake, but you have some stuff there.
yeah, I'll pretend
So,
there's something.
I have my shot glass. If you notice, it's got a bullet in it.
What?
That's an AR round.
That's only because his wife missed.
Can you find a bigger bottle?
putting
Well, the little lady, she missed twice.
putting too many googly eyes on pictures.
Is there anything for you to bring in? What are we doing here?
Did you guys want one?
No.
No. Nope.
Nope. I got to be banking today.
Oh,
Remember,
He's not retired yet.
like the year before I got in mortgage banking, all the guys were smoking cigars and drinking whiskey at their desk. Now you can't even smoke inside. And
well, a little toast for St. Pat's Day. Let's try this.
All right.
May you be a half an hour in heaven before the devil knows you're dead. You know it.
How's your time, be lucky charms?
Air toast right over there.
There we go.
so we had the Shannon Rovers Bagpipe Band come into the American Legion yesterday. Right after the parade, they came in. I said, "You guys, they're on their way to the beer tent." I go, "You guys come in here to the American Legion. I'll buy you a beer." So those guys could drink. So
Really? So, yeah. What county are they from?
they're from Dundee, Illinois.
And their heritage. County Mayo, County Cork. Are they really Irish?
They're the Dundee Scottish.
Yeah.
Of course, like I think it was like 1675. A guy in Scotland, last name is from the clan McSween. That's where the name Sweeney comes from. Was sent over to Ireland to be the chief of police to keep all the Irish hooliganism in order, and that's how the Sweeneys got to Ireland.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
There was something, and I got third-hand information. I think I heard on the radio, or we were talking about it on the way back from Springfield, that the president says he's not really Irish because he doesn't something about he doesn't have anybody that he knows in his family that's in prison.
Just wait.
We haven't verified that story, but it came across. It was like, Okay, Mr. Wise Ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's that Irish English thing. So a generation before me, a little bit before, my grandfather used to get these things, Irish sweepstakes tickets, which was the Irish Republican Army wing of fundraising. I found out later in life.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I had no
when I was a
idea.
kid.
Oh,
Wow.
you must have been from a rough neighborhood.
What? Go ahead, finish your story.
Oh, yeah. So, no, that was about it. That's
Oh,
but
You know, we have a
that's
member
my
that
St. Patty's thing.
he used to come in to the meetings, and he's from Norway. You know, Cedric Serdal, and he used to come in St. Pat's Day. He says, you know, the Irish is nothing but shipwrecked Norwegians.
Well,
There's a little bit of truth
For
to
the
that.
Vikings, yeah.
Yeah, the Vikings. Oh man.
Yeah, I did the 23andMe, and I found out I'm 95% Irish and 5% of whatever crashed in Ireland.
That was everything else, right?
That was it. Yeah.
Oh man. You know, well, I can tell you this. There was this fellow. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you.
Is it true? Wait, is
Two
it true?
police officers, two police constables knock on the door. Patty opens the door and he says, "There we got some bad news for you." He goes, "Oh, me constables, what do you have for me?" He goes, "I got some bad news, and then I got some good news, and then I got some really, really good news. Which one you want first?" He goes, "Oh Lord, give me the bad news." "Well, we found your wife, poor Margie. She was in the dory out in the bay fishing for cod, and she fell in the water. She's in the drink, and we found her. She drowned, eh? Oh, what am I going to do without me, Margie? Oh, my Lord." He goes, "Yeah, oh, wait. What's the good news?" He goes, "Ha ha, Lord Tumbling Boys. Here you go, give me the package." Gives it to him. And he goes, "When we pulled her up, she had 20 lobster on her, she did. The best lobster I've seen in 20 years. And here's your share." He goes, "Oh, that's what you call Sir Robert Peel. You know, community-based policing. That's what I love about you guys." You know, wait, what's the really, really good news?" He goes, "Ha ha, we're going to pull her back up again tomorrow."
That was pretty good.
Did you do that? Did you tell Laura that one?
I told Laura that one, and she almost threw me out of the house. You know, that Laura Sweetums, aka Sweetums. That's my sweetheart.
Tell them what your latest adventure was with
my God.
with pictures and
What
stuff.
I did was I went over to one of the Hobby Lobby stores, and I picked up a bunch of little you know, those little eyes, those googly eyes, and I put them on all of the pictures throughout the whole house. And I walked around, every time I looked at it, was cracking up. And like 3 weeks later, they never saw them. No one ever saw them. So the other day, she finds them. And I was upstairs in my room, and she calls me on it, and she goes, "Get out here." I said, "Oh, I already knew." "What do you got there, Sweetums?" She goes, "You need a job. I want you out of the house. Get out. You need something to do." And she walks over, she points at the picture, and there's all those googly eyes. She finally discovered them.
Did you ask her if she's seen the rest of them?
Oh man. Anyhow, poor little devil. I'm driving her nuts. So maybe I should go down and get a VA loan, get a camper, go up north.
Yeah.
Get out of the house.
There you go.
You know, but it's got to be at least a double wide.
Oh man.
Are you making fun of Rick?
No, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you.
Zing.
Telling you the VA rule.
Damn.
Oh. Okay. I have been going to the gym. Well, the doctor told me, he said, "Listen, don't go, when you be really slow with this, don't go right into this." So I've been driving by for about the past 3 weeks. What? I'm working at it.
You know, that's
That's good.
well, that is one of the problems we have in the veteran community is we were all eating on this high performance diet if you were in the infantry or something.
Oh, yeah.
And we're burning off all these calories, and now later in life we're turning into couch potatoes, and we really got to figure out how to start moving again.
Right.
You know, one foot, other foot, left foot, right foot.
Absolutely.
You know the drill. So today I've started. It might be just a trend of one day. It might be something to go. But I went to Moraine Hill State Park and went for a nice little 3-mile hike.
Nice.
Yeah, they got eagle nest over there. They have. I saw a deer sleeping in the weeds. It's kind of cool.
Nice.
You saw a deer this morning?
Yeah, the robins were out.
Oh dear.
The red-winged blackbirds were pretty aggressive this morning.
You know, get your shotgun. I think it's turkey season.
Yeah, but it's time to get up off your couch and get outside and start walking again.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely a big fitness advocate, and you don't got to slaughter yourself at the gym or anything like that. But as long as you stay active and moving and whatnot, because you get combat vets too as well, where just veterans all across the board that they get stagnant, self-isolating at home and all that stuff, and you got to get out. Doesn't mean you need to be lifting 1,000 pounds or whatever like that, but staying active and staying consistent, and then also joining some form of veteran group organization if you're having an issue. Simply going out, getting out of yourself, but yeah, staying active is very.
What's interesting about that is I was talking to a friend of mine about that very issue, and he told me that when veterans first get out of the military, the first thing they do, kick it back.
Oh yeah, I was the same way too.
He told me, he says, Rick, that is the worst thing because you're putting your body in a shock. You're used to running 3 days a week,
right?
And all of a sudden you're home and you don't do anything. You're putting your body in a shock.
Oh yeah.
And he said within about 1.5 years, he knows one guy that was well over 350 pounds.
Oh my
God. In like a
Wow.
year. And he finally got this guy back into the gym and things like this. But but it didn't work. He ended up dying of a heart attack. You got to be kidding me. Seriously.
Right.
But that shock element, and you're right. When you get out, stay active.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that is my passion is fitness and martial arts and all that stuff. But I use those tools to inspire the people. So when I got my personal training certification, and I'm like, all right, I got this certification. I could train people and inspire all that good stuff. And, I get a lot of this stuff where don't judge me if, you train me or I'll get into better shape. And, then I'll hire you. I'm like, look, when I train you, I want to set you up for success. It's not like I'm here to judge you that you don't know anything, because I know you may not know stuff. And
I know, I've seen his martial arts. I think I can take him.
Oh, we could spar anytime. So,
the odds are against you.
Just like 40 years.
We've been paying up to this point when that day comes. Right now, it's all talk.
But no, seriously, whenever I train, fitness and all that stuff, I'm very professional, and I'm very encouraging. I don't like really that tough love stuff or come on, let's go, because a lot of people don't respond to that stuff, and I really don't like that stuff. So
no, you're pretty inspirational.
Yeah,
I find you really inspirational.
Right.
You're fun.
Well, thank you.
Fun
I
to
appreciate
work
it.
with.
Right. And that's the key is that, the retention rate, it's like, I want that person, I want to challenge them, but to that point where it actually feels good and they're enjoying the process.
Right,
and then you challenge them, and then they learn how to overcome themselves a little bit that day. But if I got somebody that hasn't moved in forever, and someone that hasn't moved in forever, no judgment here.
We won't mention any names.
Yeah, sure.
Initials is Kent Jones.
Sure. You want to hire me, buddy? I can help you out. But some people are expecting me to slaughter them in the gym and the boot camp style stuff. I'm like, no, because if I do that, your heart may not be able to take that, or that it has an adverse effect on the body where it ruptures cells and all that stuff. Not to get into the scientific stuff, but the biggest thing is to get you in the habit first, to get you moving.
Well,
So,
the thing is, Phil and I were actually stationed at the same place at the same time.
Really? Okay.
He was in one battalion up in a hill or down a hill, whatever. But we were up at Camp Schwab.
Where was that? Back Bunker Hill and back in New York?
Yeah.
No, in Okinawa, Japan.
And no, it wasn't back in World War II either.
Back in 1977.
But back in those days, the way they cooked wasn't the same. A lot of it was fried food and stuff like that.
I still eat Spam because of my experiences at Camp Schwab.
Right.
I was in Hawaii, so
You still like Spam?
and eggs.
Oh yeah, Spam.
I can't eat it anymore.
Oh, it's got to be cut thin.
And you got to fry it
Maybe
up
that's
too.
a secret.
Frying pan. Got a frying pan.
Hawaii.
You guys were stationed together.
Well, we didn't know each other then.
Oh, okay. You were
But
stationed.
we could talk about the
We
same.
talk about the same bars.
right.
Same bars, battalion fights, and on the over there on baseball field, stuff like that. And then fights. Then it was e-tools and chains, baseball bats.
Actually, I was the corpsman. I'd have to come over and clean up the mess. Oh, you got a boo boo. Okay.
Yeah.
Put most moleskin on it and change your socks.
But you know what? I remember serving with a lot of every unit we had in Corpsman. Here we are doing a 25-mile force march. We did that in like 6.5 hours. That's with the breaks in between and lunch and everything else. So we're humping. Full packs, everything else. We're at Camp Pendleton. What temperatures are out there? 95 to 100 degrees out there. It's hot. Corpsmen, they're not in the Jeep. They're walking right with us. They were humping just like we were, and I'll never forget that. It was quite an amazing thing. You guys are pretty tough. You guys are pretty awesome.
Yeah, all right.
I had been in college wrestling right before the service. So
There you go.
So boot camp to me was easier than wrestling practice.
Wow.
Yeah, there was
Except
a lot
that
of
wrestling, then you have someone screaming in your ear.
Yeah, there was a lot of country guys and stuff.
There's a couple of Navy jokes in there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just caught that. It's like Navy was walking a mile and a half for your PFT.
We were diddy bopping, 1, 2, skip a 2. We had songs too. Yeah.
That was
birds and animals, left, right, saw
the
bird,
funny thing
right,
is,
left.
the funny part was down in San Diego back in the day when the Navy used to have 3 boot camps. They had the one in San Diego, and some of the sailors, we were pie shaped. You had the Marine Corps, you had the Navy, and then you had the San Diego Airport. And the Navy kids that couldn't handle the pressure of being in the Navy decided to jump the fence. They just didn't realize that they were jumping on the Marine Corps side, and the drill instructors used to keep them a week before they sent them back.
So my boot camp had a nickname. I don't know if your boot camp had a name. My boot camp was Mickey Mouse boot camp because the Navy at the time had a boot camp in Orlando. And I went in January. So leaving the Chicago area to boot camp in Orlando, that was like early spring break for me.
Nice.
And they're going to feed me and we're going to exercise and sing songs. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we had Hollywood for
Go to
San
Orlando
Diego.
for Liberty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went from there to San Diego for corpsman school. So I went from good weather to good weather. So and I grew up in the Chicagoland area. So I was happy to see it snowing at home and sunshine, working out, going to the beach. Actually, they call it hitting the beach. It's different than going to the beach.
Yeah, you got to hit that shit.
Yeah, about 8 minutes.
Okay. All right. So back on the home loan thing, just to touch on it.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Would you encourage people or veterans to utilize that service? Because I had never used it. I've always been deterred by the bureaucratic process. And I guess I bought into the disadvantages that I understood, at least at the time. Would you encourage people to get into these loans?
Well, whenever somebody doesn't understand something, then they think it's a bad thing, but they don't know. They don't understand it. And it's actually a good thing. You just missed out on someone that was able to explain it to you. You might have had someone on your home buying team that said something to you and you just went along with it, not knowing if it was true or not, but it changed your attitude. So I would encourage everybody to look at what your opportunities are for homeownership, whether it's a conventional loan, whether it's getting a loan from mom and dad. Maybe the seller wants to finance the house for you. You don't know what the terms are until you ask, or what you can do or what you can afford. But you were talking about veteran businesses.
Yeah.
So I went to school on the GI Bill, and I was looking to see what I wanted to do that was for a career so I could raise a family and get to where I'm at today, here in the net. So, any case, I had a really good college career, junior and senior. I was a junior college transfer and used the GI Bill. It paid for the schooling. And after I got out, it got me the job. And anywhere in the financial sector is, if anybody's good at doing forms, finance and business is probably right up pretty good for you as careers. So you guys that drove tanks and military trucks and stuff, maybe that might not be the career for you. But if you were admin, maybe that might be the career for you. Or if you're an officer and we're looking for something to do after you did your...
I drove Humvees. I was a certified Humvee driver. So
Yeah.
I know.
And I was a pilot.
What about tank guys? What do they do in the civilian life?
You didn't know that I was
Heavy
a pilot?
equipment,
really?
Oh, yeah.
bulldozers.
Jet sewer lines and stuff?
You didn't know I was a pilot?
Yeah, what did you fly?
I did. A sergeant said, "See that pile of rocks? Pilot over there." He did.
Aim high, Rick. Aim high.
Oh, okay. A little higher.
You
I
know-
wasn't that kind of pilot.
You really missed the question because contrary to popular belief, and it's a truism. Most people during Vietnam used to run up to Canada before they got in the military. Now, in Rick's case, he ran up there after the military. Would he be able to use his VA home loan up there?
So, good question.
I don't think the banks would have even known anything about the VA home loans.
Well, they don't know anything about VA.
Well, so VA home loans are limited to the United States, Hawaii, Puerto Rico,
Ooh.
Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and a few other places that are,
Like Samoa.
might be
U.S.
yeah.
possessions.
possessions or something like NATO based or something.
But
they have a list of other things other than just you're going to buy in McHenry or Crystal Lake or wherever you're going to buy. So I did go on Zillow. That's a popular website. I looked up property in Puerto Rico. I can retire there on my Social Security money.
all right.
Now I can't figure out how come Zillow every single week is sending me listings for Puerto Rico. Like, I want to look at other places.
So really, you're saying that every U.S. possession, every place we conquered, that's where you can get a VA loan.
The United States
conquer
didn't conquer
Canada.
that.
I think we should
We don't
conquer-
conquer.
We acquired. We acquired.
acquired.
Politically correct.
Politically, we acquired them.
Yes.
We're imperialists.
Yes. That sounds. That sounds.
Well,
nice.
if anybody
Sorry,
wants
say-
to go looking at property at the U.S. Virgin Islands, I will go with you.
We should
To
we should
pre-approve
take
you
over
for the home
Canada.
loan.
We should- The 51st state. That would be awesome.
So
What's
that
that?
actually works as well for investment loans for VA?
Well, VA doesn't allow investment loans. It's only
No,
owner
it's
occupied.
Occupational.
Yep.
Close to wrap up.
Sorry, I walked in on
You
that.
have-
No, it's okay. That's why I'm here to help.
Sign off here.
I figured I'd ask.
Well, you want to buy a house?
Yeah, actually I do.
I know a bunch of realtors. Just share your name and phone number. I'm sure they'll call you in a minute.
You have okay. Well, about time to wrap things up, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah, we're just about out of time.
We want to thank all the listeners that were on this week, and go ahead and send us an email at McHenryCountyMCL@gmail.com or go to our website, www.mchenrycountymcl.com. Rick?
And we want to thank our technicians. The studio here is 216 The Net for helping us out and for bringing us on. Awesome. Our next show is going to be on April 1st. We hope to see you there. We have a special guest at that time, Kat Garcia from the Homeless Veteran Transitional Program. And we truly hope to see you there. And thank you. Happy St. Pat's Day. And thank you to our special guest, Phil Sweeney.
Yeah, I'll be happy to come back when we want to tell sea stories.
That's what we'll do.
They always start as you never believe us or this is true, but
And we can talk about when Italy and Sardinia.
And we can talk about the Navy being our Uber.
right, Uncle Sam's misguided children, USMC.
Awesome. And thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. We'll see you on April the 1st.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Apple, Spotify. And for YouTube, you know exactly what to do. Click the like, share, subscribe button. Hit the bell notification for future videos for the Roger That Chronicles. Check us out at 216 The Net.
Love you, man.
Up in the morning with the rising sun.
Up in the morning with the rising sun.
Gonna run all day till the running's done.